Hello, and welcome to yet another edition of the Ultimate Fighting Chat podcast. This is to go through the main card of the Jairzinho Rozenstruik versus Augusto Sakai. And that's what we're going to do. And that's all there is to it. And I tell you what, we ain't going to make no apologies for it because we're going to do it regardless. Am I excited? I'm not sure. I think I am about one of them. But let's kick off with the main card. And just as they did, with the first televised event on the prelims, they've given us a right treat on the main card. But before I go on to the main treat, which is a women's fight, just what we wanted to get us excited. This wasn't meant to be the fight for the first fight on the main card, was it? Now, what was it meant to be? Can you remember, please?
Tom Breach.
Oh, yeah, the one. That's it.
British guy, yeah.
Izzy said he's got some mental problems.
Yeah, anxiety, I think he called it.
That's right.
Or on the politically correct front. But yeah, I think he called it, he said he stubborn with anxiety issues. I don't know, I
don't know why he said that, though, because I thought to myself, well, there's nothing wrong with it, because what the reason you should talk about these things is because people don't talk about these things or whatever. But it's like what you said to me the other day over something, which obviously got nothing to do with this. You only want to chat about it if you've agreed to chat about it. And Biz is saying it on live telly. Maybe he has agreed it, but I just thought, I don't know, maybe he ain't agreed to chat about this.
It's also the implications, even though he obviously quickly said, I'm not saying that that's what's happened tonight, but it's a little bit like when you throw that out there, it's almost like you're kind of saying, I think maybe he had anxiety issues tonight. Which if he did, and then he couldn't fight, then he didn't. He couldn't fight.
But, nothing wrong with that, but yeah,
of course, if it happens too often, then obviously eventually you imagine the promoters and stuff will kind of go, listen, I don't think you're in the right career, but
it could do. But as regarding the business, if you don't know, then you don't know. Maybe you shouldn't speculate. They're saying, we shouldn't speculate, but then he speculated,
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we speculated earlier that Nugget probably wasn't as unable to see as he suggested. But obviously, we're a couple of nobodies talking on a podcast that nobody listens to, so it don't matter. But when you've got like millions of people watching at home, maybe it's maybe God's please. I might be like, keep that anxiety stuff.
Maybe not, or maybe he wants it out there to help.
Yeah, because I just had the shits or something, for example. It might
be something like that. Could be some truth. Yeah, could be.
Yeah.
Look, I am interested to know what's gone on and why that's happened. It seemed to have been, was it the reason the fight was off laid at Breeze's door and not the opponent? What was the opponent? Who's your opponent? Do you remember?
Arroyo. I don't know. I don't remember the call seeing him fight. It doesn't mean I haven't.
We have.
But yeah, Tom Brees. He said Tom Brees was, the reason why the fight was cancelled was due to some medical issue with Brees. Yeah.
Shame that, because obviously I would have wanted to see that, and it would have been a good kick-off to the main card, I would have thought, because he's pretty good. I like him.
Brees is not bad, yeah, not bad.
Got a bod on him, ain't he?
Yeah, he's another one of those guys that if it don't work out in the UFC, then he can always go to Men's Health and have a chat with them about, I don't know, what protein shake he drinks for 10 a.m.
Yeah, well, like Luke Rockhold, he's like him, isn't he? He's all qual like him.
He is he's like an English Rockhold, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's our version, yeah.
Now, ain't that Rockhold, he was doing that Lovato. Ain't Lovato sort of, I wonder if she's still doing Rockhold. Ain't she sort of changed everything?
I can't remember. I'm sure I heard something the other day where somebody mentioned.
Same it's in the back of your mind somewhere.
Maybe they are. Who cares?
No, but it's not what I mean. Ain't she done something like, I don't know, trans or him or it, or done one of them changes? Or is that the wrong person? I think Lovato. Yeah, I think Lovato might have done a change.
You don't mean like she's.
And that makes me wonder.
She's just changed as if she now identifies as something else, or.
Yeah, but does that mean that she don't go out with rockers anymore? Maybe she weren't.
Oh,
anyway.
I've got a headline here from a newspaper that says Demi Lovato claims that patriarchy was stopping them from coming out as non-binary. I mean, just the grammatical nightmare in that sentence alone should just put it to bed. But anyway, I'm not going to get into that debate.
Funnily enough, right thing to do. Just forget it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she can do what she wants. I can give
of course,
monkey.
But is she still with the Rockers? Maybe she weren't with Rockers anyway. I don't know. Was that never a real thing? I think it was real, wasn't it?
I have no idea. Is she the one that? Oh no, it wasn't her. The guy who said, I want to know what is the loudest stadium in that worst.
That was Montana, or whatever her name is.
It wasn't Hannah Montana.
It is. Hannah Montana's a name of a character in the TV show, isn't it? Miley Cyrus. Yeah.
I have no idea. All these.
Yeah, Miley Cyrus. I've just confirmed it. It's Miley Cyrus.
Miley Cyrus.
Which is Hannah Montana, yeah. And it was that bloke, the big Russian-y looking bloke who, for God's sake, I can't remember his name now. Anyway, the bloke who said, he's going to fill up a stadium and he needs to ask Cyrus to sort it out or something, and he's going to shave his chest there or some crap.
Yeah.
Some crap anyway. Oh, he's a Cuban Missile Crisis, that bloke.
That's it, yeah. I've forgotten his name. I don't know why I can't remember his name, but yeah.
He's got a wicked nickname, so it don't matter. Julian?
Yeah, Julian Marquez.
Listen, Helwani thinks he knows it all. The dates and Gareth, they think they know it all. On a cool night in Texas, this happened and that. They think they know it all. We've just done that. No prep off the top of our heads. We didn't know we were going to talk about Cuban missiles. And there we are. Julian Marquez, we've done it between the pair of us. I mean, it ain't our job. Ain't our job to know it, but we know it.
So I'm just going to quickly read out.
No problem.
Lovato describes their sexuality as fluid and has said they are open to finding love with someone of any gender. In July 2020, they labelled themselves just...
Wait, whoa. Wait a minute. You're not talking about
she was more than one person, but they labelled themselves queer in the social media statement. In March 2021, Lovato came out as pansexual and sexually fluid, stating in an interview, "I've always known I was hella queer, but I fully embraced it." In the same interview, they called themselves just too queer to date men at the time, so that's bad news for Rockhold. They expressed that they feel proud of belonging to what they called the alphabet mafia, referring to the LGBTQ community. On May 19, 2021, Lovato came out as non-binary via a Twitter thread and announced their decision to officially change their gender pronouns to they, them, stating, "This has come after a lot of healing and self-reflective work. I'm still learning." Hang on, I'm still learning? They still learning? I don't know. "And coming into myself. I don't claim to be an expert or a spokesperson. Maybe you shouldn't be chatting about it. Sharing this with you now opens another level of vulnerability for me."
No, she said she'd embraced it earlier with open arms.
I mean, she came out as non-binary, but she... I don't know.
What's that mean for Rockers?
What does it mean for Rockers?
Yeah.
It means he's still got a fragile chin, and if he gets her pronoun wrong, she'll probably bang him out cold.
Well, he's announced a comeback. He's announced a comeback. Maybe that's why, to get over it. The fact that he ain't going to be the only one. But she does.
She's not in the right place to date men at the moment. So,
well, not just.
Why are we talking about Lovato and Rockhold? I don't care about Lovato. I do care about Rockhold, but only in the sense of having punch ups. And I do want to see him fight again because I liked his fights, and particularly, he was a bit dry, but I liked.
What weight class do you want to see him fight at? The 185s or the 205s?
Middleweight.
Middles, yeah. Well, he was definitely a good middleweight, weren't he? Ain't that the weight class that Biz has blazed him in, though?
That's right, yeah.
So does that mean he was good at middles or crap?
Moving on. Yeah, I'll tell you, we could probably edit this whole section out.
Yeah, but, we could do, but we're not going to. So the main card of this card was Montana De La Rosa versus Ariane, the Queen of Violence, Lipsky.
Yep.
De La Rosa won this fight as a TKO in round 2. The next fight on this card
Are you done with that one?
Well, are you?
No, I'll just say one thing on it. I thought that Lipski looked okay and looked quite powerful. And I think she actually rocked her at the start of round 2. But it was a little bit like a Tanabosa situation where she couldn't defend a takedown.
Yeah.
And when she got on her back, she was basically clueless. And
Well, she was laying there doing a calm face, wasn't it? But getting elbowed in the eyebrows and stuff.
Right, yeah, that's right. She did have a face as if to say, like, yeah, so
Yeah,
what?
big deal. Yeah.
Big deal. Yeah. And then about a few minutes later,
Bang.
someone has to step in and stop it. I mean, I think she was fine, as in, like, I don't think she was on the verge going out or going to be out or anything like that.
No.
But when you're in a position where you just look like you never, they could be turning the lights off and taking the chairs out and you'd still be stuck in that position, it's probably best that the ref just goes, right, I think we'll call it a night.
Well, it is a live broadcast. They've only got so much time,
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
All
right.
I think what I guess what I'm trying to say is, if she fixes those deficiencies, I think Lipsy's got a higher ceiling than Montana. Even though I think she's got a higher ceiling.
bad strikes, bad on the feet, bad defense and all that. Yeah, so agreed. Yeah. But she's got a good physique for fighting, long, lengthy. She does win her fights as well. Not saying she wins them all, but seems to be doing all right. But yeah, I think Lipski's quite good. Didn't look good in that fight, but she did, innit? On her feet, she looked all right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what? Let's go on to the next fight.
Yeah. Your mate, I've done more than enough on that. Next.
Yeah, thanks very much for filling in there. Your mate, Dusko Thunder Todorovic versus Gregory Robocop Rodriguez. I've got one word, rubbish. Now, I'm happy to move on faster than the Montana De La Rosa and Lipski fight. But
I'm not.
If you've got more to say, let's have it. Yeah.
Right. Well, firstly, if you remember, after Todorovic won his debut, I said to you that he's going to get banged out.
Yeah, because of his neck up.
Very, very soon. And obviously, next fight, he did get banged out because of his fight style. And I do think he'd reined it in a bit for this fight. I do think you could see that someone had got hold of him and said, you can't keep trying to do bend backs and pullbacks all the time with your head straight in the air. I think he looked like he had tried to fix that. He basically looks like what would happen if Dustin Poirier and Stefan Struve had a baby. They'd come out looking like Todorovic, bang in the middle of both of them.
Struve and
Poirier.
Poirier?
The original Poirier before he grew his hair out.
Okay, yeah, all right.
The shaved head version, yeah. So I do think he tried to make some adjustments, which I liked the fact that he clearly had tried to make some adjustments. But I'm surprised you're moving on, because honestly, I thought Rodriguez was really good, despite the fact that he was born in the medieval times. I thought.
Is he the granddad?
Yeah, he's the granddad that Bisping said.
Yeah,
he's 29, but he looks 50. I mean, between Rodriguez and Trinaldo, it looked like it looked like a white collar event with sort of 50-year-old blokes having a go.
And Skullface, he looks all old and all.
Oh yeah, Patrick, Nugget, yeah. Some of the oldest looking UFC fighters ever. As far as I'm concerned, they all look older than Couture and Liddell look now. But I thought Rodriguez was actually really good.
I did think the Robocop bloke, that was his name, quite a good name. I did think he was quite good. I don't recall seeing him fight before, personally.
No, it's
was it? Well, that's why then, isn't it? So for a bloke I'd never seen before, I thought this bloke's all right. I still didn't like the fight.
No, it became a bit generic. It became a bit sort of just
nothing's going to change.
I knew what was going to happen after about 4 minutes, unless Rodriguez sort of like caught him with a big bomb and knocked him out. But what I liked about Rodriguez is apparently he's more of a grappler. But looking at that, I wouldn't have guessed it, because I thought he's striking. He looked composed on his feet, and there was a few things I want to pick up on technically. I mean, he was using parries and blocks on Todorovic's jabs and straight punches, which you just don't see enough of in the UFC. He was using that. He was throwing it, and most of his punches, he was throwing them nice and crisp and straight. He also a couple of times dipped down to his left and ripped body shots in, little hooks into the body. And there was a few times where he was doing slipping some shots from Dorovic as well, which slipping is the hardest of all the defensive maneuvers. So there was a lot to like about that Rodriguez. And if he's actually a grappler, and that's how good he is at striking, I think he's one to keep an eye on. I think he's good, really good.
I have a theory on why, being a grappler, he was particularly good at the things that you brought up. And it could be because he's fairly new to striking and those things are fresh and he hasn't found any particularly bad habits yet because he's freshly trained. I think sometimes, depending on the fighter, that can help, because if you have been taught from scratch and you're taught to, catch and parry, catch jabs and parry, say crosses, for example, or whatever, then as run of the mill and basic as that can be, they are fundamentals. And if he ain't got into his own groove yet or whatever, and he's literally doing those fundamentals, they can catch people off guard, because a lot of people aren't doing these basics and these fundamentals. I couldn't agree more about the slipping thing. One thing that is very difficult is, moving and dodging away with your head, at least with your body is fine, from punches and whatever. But it might be because it's all a bit, still fresh for him. So he's keeping the best practices,
He's just not overcomplicating it.
Yeah.
All these people doing all these ridiculous combos on pads and all that in order to post them on Instagram and stuff. There's something to be said for it. That stuff obviously does help. But if it's at the expense of the fundamentals and the basics, you're better off just standing there and spending half an hour catching and parrying and countering jabs than you are doing a, pat, Floyd Mayweather rip-off routine. Right? Yeah. And too many people neglect that stuff. And I thought his striking was similar to people like Alberto Luque and people like that. As in he was nice, compact, solid. His punches were crisp, but he wasn't throwing his whole body weight behind them. He wasn't throwing big Hail Marys. Everything was, he was throwing punches in more than just single shots. He was throwing jab, right, left hook as counters and stuff. I really, really liked him a lot. I think he's really good.
So, why don't you marry him then?
Because he looks about 50 and I think I can do better.
Yeah.
Okay. One thing I will say is I do think he looks like he's got the potential to get breathed out quickly. In a high intensity fight, and perhaps with a bit more sort of grappling exchanges, a bit more thunderous sort of striking exchange. I thought he looked like he could, gas out a bit.
He was a muscular guy, wasn't he?
Yeah, he just looked like
a lot of muscle on him,
someone whose arms would fill up with blood, and in round two it looked like, as slow as a snail. I don't know that for sure. I'm just saying that's the impression.
Well, however, that was that went the full 15 minutes and he seemed pretty good. And he wasn't fighting someone who can't fight. He was definitely getting grief off Todorovic. He ain't crap, Todorovic. He's pretty good, yeah.
Good day on that, Rodriguez. I like him a lot. Oh, and I've said that loads, but that's the end of it. Got no more to say on it now.
Well, it's just as well, isn't it? I mean, couldn't say any more about it. Now, look, this next fight, let's be honest. It's the reason you tune in to this UFC stuff. It's the reason you watch fighting. For me, it is. This is the reason I watch fighting. How long have we said this Ponzinibbio bloke is amazing? Ages, right? Ages. And he's up there. He's just one of the best. And it's for different reasons. It ain't necessarily for the skills. So this next fight is Santiago Argentine Dagger Ponzinibbio versus Miguel Caramel Thunder Baeza. For me, this was finally a good fight. They were both brilliant. What did you think of this fight?
I thought it was shit.
What?
Hated it. Fast forwarded the whole thing.
Nah, rubbish. Never. Don't believe you. It's absolute qual.
I think what I'm going to say, I'm not going to go into it in too much detail, but I think...
Why not? I thought that's why we did chats about these things.
Well, yeah, but I was going to let you do it. But what I was going to say about Ponzinibbio is after round one, right, firstly, just to say both guys are really, really good. Really good.
100%.
But outside of that, I thought after round one, I feel sorry for Ponzinibbio because I think his best years and all that he spent on the operating table. That's what I thought. I thought he's going to get done by this by Azar. He's going to slip into
fresh new blood.
and he's basically the time where he should have been up in, say, peppering, the top 5 rankings. He was spending it on the operating table, and now he's come back. Everyone's kind of passed him by, and he's going to slip down into, if you like, obscurity almost. That's what I thought after round 1.
That's why this fight was amazing.
Well, yeah, and it's what I said to you before about sometimes with boxing, when you have 12-round fights, it can be a real slog to get through them. But when you have ones that have twists and turns and stories, they become amazing. And that's what I felt with this fight, even though it was only 3 rounds. I felt that Ponzinibbio was finished. I was going to almost ready to write him off. I was ready the next time we chatted about it to go, he was amazing, Ponzinibbio, but he had 2 of the best years, I guess, that he would have had out the game. And he's now passed him by. And
you don't know what those problems had on the effect they had on his health and his body. And, you can't always come back from these things 100%.
Well, we do know, because he told this thing after, you think I give a shit about my leg? You think I give a shit? I was told I can never fight again.
Thanks for letting me know, because I ain't being nasty, but I literally couldn't understand one word he said in that after-fight interview. But thanks for...
Yeah, that's basically what you're saying to Bisping. Bisping was saying your leg looked smashed up after round 1. And he goes, you think I give an SHIT about this leg? I was told I'd never fight again and all this sort of stuff. This leg, it's nothing, means nothing, He said I'd have had to, you'd have to have killed me, or I'd had to have died in there tonight. And I was like, that's not strictly true, because if you get a left hook or something from a Chinese fella, that'll do the trick as well. You don't have to kill you. You just have to get a shot from the leech. That'll do the trick and all. But I was really happy for him, because you could see that it was, it was a big deal for him to win that fight. I think that Baeza's really good and will give a lot of people grief. And so that's a win that at the moment you might look at and go, so what, you beat a guy called Baeza, who's not really established a name yet in the UFC. But maybe in a couple of years' time, people will look back and go, whoa, you did Baeza. That's amazing, because he's good, that Baeza. So.
Very good. Very good. Look,
but you know what won in that fight, Ponzinibbio? The jab. Simple as that.
Yeah. I mean, he deserved it. Well, and his grit and his heart and all that, and his determination. He deserved to win that fight, because he was done. He did what a lot of people don't. He had a sense of what was going on, the situation, and he did what he needed to do. And he just threw himself into the fire and went, listen, the only way I'm winning this is important to me. And it was a big relief, you could see, that he did win. But the truth is, he deserved to win. It ain't necessarily even because he's better at fighting on that night. It's not that. It's his attitude helped him win that fight. His attitude was literally, I'm in it to have a smash. That's what I'm paid for. That's what I do. And if I get done, I get done. But I'm going to try and smash this bloke's face in. He's brilliant. Really, really brilliant. That is hard to beat. That attitude is very difficult to beat.
It was one of those fights where Baeza didn't really deserve to lose either, though, because he stood there.
I agree.
It was like a little bit like Cater when he got done by Holloway. So it's a shame you had to lose that fight, because you really showed so much about your grit, your character, your heart, your toughness. And as we said, funnily enough, his defense, even though he shipped about 2,000 punches, but it was the same with Baeza. He didn't back down. He didn't get out of breath and curl up. He didn't look for an eye poke or a shot to the sack to try and, get out of there. He was in there to the end as well. It's just he got, if you like, out-toughed or old-manned, whatever you want to say. The jab, I think, by the end, couldn't miss for Ponzinibbio. And like you said earlier, so many people, they don't see this in fights, as in fighters, they don't realise something's working. Ponzinibbio did, and he kept on throwing that jab, and he threw it loads. And a jab isn't a punch that very rarely it's going to knock you out, knock someone out. But he put enough of them in the bank that it basically broke that by his...
look, it's obvious what it did, right? It helped. It isn't the most powerful shot, so he could still manage it on a leg that was killing him. Obviously, that leg that did smash him in, right? So he was still able to just step in with that jab enough, because he's real. When he saw the opportunity for a basic cross after it, a follow-up, he threw it. You know what I mean? He's just good. And when he was doing that, and you're putting a fist in someone's face like that forwards, what does that stop? It stops that leg kick coming. Well, throw it then. Because if you throw it and I time it, you're going to fall down anyway. And now you're not going to be hitting my leg. You're going to be hitting past my leg. You're going to miss my leg. So throw it if you want. And that's what he did. He just closed the distance and made sure that whenever he threw a punch, that he stepped in with it, and he's basically out of kicking range, out of that kicking range anyway. So I think he was amazing. I love the sense of urgency. I love the will to win, knowing, or at least, I mean, he wouldn't have got cut, I believe, after this, but he behaved as if I have to win this fight against a bloke that he could have easily lost to, and had the decision gone the other way, I would have gone, all right, fair enough.
Yeah, I felt Ponzinibbio won rounds 2 and 3, but like you say there, if the decision went to Baeza, I wouldn't have kicked up. I wouldn't have been like, that was a robbery. I'd have just been like, yeah, all right. I mean,
yeah,
I can see how you came to that conclusion. I don't agree with it. I definitely think Ponzinibbio won, and I think won enough clearly, even though every round, apart from round 1, was tightly contested. Rounds 2 and 3, I still think that they weren't actually. When you look at the numbers after the punches landed, I mean, it was pretty dominant from Ponzinibbio in rounds 2 and 3. But yeah, just really good. We said he was good, and now it's been proved.
Both brilliant.
I was worried that it would, I had a bit of a Che Mills on my end, and I was going to get slammed for saying that, Ponzinibbio is amazing, but
yeah, well, he'll be thinking all that as well, and they've proved a lot to himself, because he would have felt rough over whatever he had, some sort of infection in his blood or something. I think they said something like that.
Yeah, it was originally a staph infection, wasn't it? And then
right.
It kind of.
That's what I'm saying. So he's got to prove himself, and it is like you say, some people won't know this or think this is a big win, but against a decent fighter who's young, who's, I believe, undefeated. Am I right? Was he undefeated, that guy? I think he was undefeated.
I think that was his first loss, yeah.
Right. Makes a massive difference, as we know. And so to me, it was a massive win. Coming off a long time out of being not very well, then coming back and getting knocked out, and then coming back not too long after, so not a massive break, and beating, the sort of bloke that you can lose to and just go, oh, yeah, I'm on my last legs here. This is retirement time. He's just turned all that around and gone, that ain't. I smash teeth. That's my job, and that's what I've come here for. And to me, he's worth the entry ticket. That is what I tune in for. He's brilliant.
Yeah, he's always been an exciting fighter, hasn't he? And,
he's amazing.
Yeah, he's made him. He's relevant again. I think it's a shame because I think the welterweight rankings are just so bizarre. I think there's going to be a lot of change in these over the next sort of year or so. So. Obviously, Luque is now a guy that we've been blowing the trumpet for ages. But, I do think that, unfortunately, people like Masvidal, he'll probably start taking more fights that intrigue him rather than fights to get back to the belt. Then if you look, there's a little run here. Magny, Maya and Neal. I think those three
Magny?
Yeah, I think they're going to slip down from the positions they're in now. Neal might be able to put something together and solidify his position, but he's on a bit of a bad run. His last couple of performances have been pretty poor.
Not great. He's been a bit
Robbie Lawless in the top 15 up. It's a shame Bilal Muhammad's matched up with Damian Maia, because I'd be much more interested in watching Bilal Muhammad versus Ponzinibbio next.
Yeah.
I think that's a good fight. But...
double aggressive. Yeah, it would be good. Yeah. But there you go. So who would you match him up with next then? Ponzinibbio and you would do that, Bilal Muhammad, would you? Well, you can't.
No,
Hang on, you can't do it.
Yeah, Bilal Muhammad's fighting
Damian
Maia.
So you can't do it. So you've got to match him up.
Well, you can, because that's happening this coming weekend, right? So if you like, they're kind of on a good. Yeah. They're on a good schedule, right? They're on a
makes sense.
Schedule runs alongside each other.
Okay, but what about if Damian Maia wins? What about if Damian Maia wins?
Nah, forget that ain't happening.
Okay, but then that's what I'm saying. If Damian Maia wins, you then wouldn't put Ponzinibbio against Bilal.
No, I wouldn't put it in. No, if Damian Maia won, I'd probably put Ponzinibbio in with maybe a Jeff Neal, maybe even a Damian Maia, if Maia's carrying on fighting or whatever he's doing. Who knows? It's a bit weird, that welterweight division at the moment. It's a bit all over the shop. It's the truth.
Well, he's brilliant. Good for him. It doesn't make any difference to the, what's his name, Baeza. Doesn't make any difference to Miguel Baeza, because he's young. He's got, plenty of legs left to go and do stuff. So it don't matter. He got done by someone, absolute powers, who's been in it for ages, who's very, very experienced. So it ain't no big deal getting done by him. It don't mean nothing,
And lots of people will be talking about that fight as well. So he'll have a little bit of shine from that. So
correct. So yeah, great fight. Now this is what happens here. You see, so when that fight happened, I went, finally, because I didn't think much of the prelims. I just thought this ain't very good, And then that fight happened. I went, great, fantastic, finally, brilliant. And then the next fight came up. It's like the roller coaster, right up and then straight back down. And of course, even the commentary team is saying, that's going to be hard to top, fight of the night and all that. And of course it is. But look, I'm into martial arts. I'm into fighting. You don't have to be fight of the night. Just be good. You can just be good. It don't even have to be amazing. It can just be interesting. But this fight, Roman Dolidze versus Lourinho Pepe Staropoli. I mean, this was a bad one. I'd say I liked Bizzers on the commentary. He did some good truth meths. He said nothing's happening here. When this Dolidze was on his back all the time, not on his back, grabbing round his back. And then he brought up the stats to back it up towards the end of the round because Cruz was going, yeah, but it's up to him to get him off and all that. And he said there's only been 4 significant strikes thrown in this round. So it ain't good. And I thought, he's right. It ain't good. This is crap. Literally, for me, this is one of the worst fights I've ever seen.
Yeah, I ain't going to spend too much time on it because it doesn't deserve it. It was a bad fight. It was a boring fight. I'm going to say the same as what I said with Tanner Boser, right? I laid the blame more squarely. So to me, that Dolidze is always going to be in rubbish fights because of his fighting style.
Yeah.
Whereas Staropoli possibly could be in good, Korean zombie style fights. So if I had to put the blame at someone's door, I would put it more at Dolidze's door. But at the same time, it's up to Staropoli to also get out of those positions and impose his will on the fight, which he failed to do. The other thing he failed to do was to go to a decent tattoo artist and get a decent tattoo design for the back of his neck.
That thing. Is that a bit of red in it? Is that the tattoo?
Yeah, the one that basically looked like he'd been scalped. It looked sore, it looked painful, and obviously it's not because it's a tattoo, but the color choice and stuff like that at the bottom of your scalp, where it just basically looks like someone's just taken a layer of skin off the back of your head. I don't even know what it was a picture of, but
I couldn't tell
from a distance, and I imagine up close it looked naff. But that Dolidze, every fight I've seen him be in,
is it the worst tattoo?
I think it's worse than Elkins. I think it's worse than Ken Lee. I mean, I'd have to see it up close because maybe it looks amazing up close. I mean, even if it does, it doesn't matter, right? Because from a distance, nobody goes up that close to you to check out your artwork on your.
No, he's on telly, from a distance with all the good lighting and everything. So
yeah, I mean, from
the best you're going to get. He ain't got a t-shirt on. It's the best you're going to get. He's got a short haircut. I mean, this is your best you're going to get without being his mate, putting your arm around his shoulder and having a shot with him. It's the best you're going to get. Best view you're going to get of it.
Yeah, and it looks infected. So
well,
yeah,
all right.
not very good in my opinion. But I'm not really an expert on tattoos. But yeah, terrible fight, and that's the end of it. There's not really much more to say about it.
That is absolutely
like I say, other than Dolidze has had the last 3 fights I've seen him in, he's had no gas tank in the 3rd round, and he's just been hanging on for dear life in every fight I've seen him fight. I mean, he's just he's quickly becoming a Rani Yahya for me. So.
Oh yeah, muscle business version. Yeah, I even noticed.
It does look impressive, yeah, physically.
Does look good, yeah. But he was gripping onto him again in the 3rd round, and they started having a chat about it or something between themselves. If you remember that, they were having a chat, but I don't know what they were saying. I couldn't hear him properly, but yeah, the Staropoli was definitely having the ump with him. And then you could see as the fight finished, they had a few choice words to say to each other. The only bit I could really pick up on is I could tell the Staropoli was obviously not going to do a run-of-the-mill handshake and say, yeah, brilliant, congratulations. He must have said something to him like that was crap, because he was like, yeah, go home or whatever to him. So that, and it's true, but it was crap for both of them. But he got the win, the Lidze. And I see this is the thing. If a bloke gets a win like that, say you run the corporation, you often become Dana White on these chats. So you're in, you run it now.
Mm.
And the Lidze has just won. I believe it was a unanimous decision. So it doesn't matter anyway. He's won, right? And you've sat there and you've watched it. If you manage to watch it, you probably do get plenty of feedback, whether it be on social media, whether it be from people within the company that are paid to feed back what the people's feelings are on things, or whether people like me and you who are mates with Dana White tell him that was the worst fight I've ever seen. And if we don't get a chance to see Dana, we obviously he tunes into our podcast, so he'll hear what we've got to say. So one way or another, you're the Dana White now, finding out about how people feel about this fight. The guy won. What do you do with him? Do you just, do you give him a crap fight? Do you pay him less? Do you give him a wicked fight to get rid of him?
Can't go into that. I mean, I don't think they get paid.
Well, I'm giving you options here. I'm giving you options. You're the boss bloke, right? So
you still look. Sometimes, right, things just don't go your way. Two styles don't gel. I wouldn't punish anybody. You turned up, you made weight, you've done all those sorts of things. So that's all
There's
good.
ways to punish,
but
if you want to punish.
If I mean, I don't know. I don't like the term punish on it. But let's put it like this: I wouldn't be giving him favourable matchups. We're talking about the Lidze here, really. Obviously,
yeah,
stuff seems to be a little bit hard watch. I obviously wouldn't be looking to make him any favourable matchups until he proves that he has some sort of star power. Or I mean, it's difficult because people used to say the same thing about John Fitch, but he was one of the best fighters in the world at that weight class at the time. You can't
I didn't have an issue with him.
Yeah, I didn't either. But, you can't not give him fights if he's beating everybody. You have to continue to progress his career.
So this is the thing. That's the thing. So you're the Dana White. You've just told me what you do. You said, well, I would continue to progress his career, but you don't have to do that. You could give him, like you say, an unfavorable matchup, someone that's lower than him in the rankings, someone you think's going to do him so that he starts losing. You just you wouldn't even think about it, no?
No, I just...
would you put him as a main event?
No, of course not.
Right.
But I'd match him up accordingly. And if he continues to beat these people, continues to beat them, and I'd just keep going up based on that.
But, exactly. If he's crap, you do a Junie Brown him, right? And people beat him off of the organisation, Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So... And
you can't beat him.
If he's that good that he can impose his will on everybody and have those fights, it's up to somebody to figure it out. And if they can't, that's too bad. The only time it comes more relevant is if I'm looking to, he's, say, for example, he's not really picking up wins and he's also stinking the place out on the regular. Then you start to go, I don't need you in my organisation because you're not one of the best fighters in the world and you're not good value for money. But provided he's still winning, he's proven he's one of the best fighters in the world, and I'll match him accordingly.
What can you do? Yeah, what can you do? Yeah. But it is difficult for a promoter because that's okay for that guy, Dolidze, who's winning, and you give him another fight. But if people like me and you, so the fans, I mean, obviously we're always going to tune in, but if people aren't tuning in, you've got to still pay this bloke.
I think they'll tune in, though, provided that he's fighting people who are named. So the more you go up, so if he's beating people, he would then all of a sudden, say, for example, if he was, what is he, middleweight, is he? Or is he light heavy? Do you remember? He's middleweight. So let's just say, for example, he continues to get a couple more wins under his belt. If all of a sudden he gets matched up against a fully recovered Chris Weidman, well, I'd watch that more for Weidman than Dolidze. But if Dolidze won, and then they matched him up against Uriah Hall, I'd watch again more for Uriah Hall, but I'd be watching to see somebody sort of stop this style. And if no one can, then he's the best fighter in the world, and he gets to match up.
I don't know about fighter. That wasn't a fight.
No, best hugger.
For me, it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't a fight. Yeah. It was bad that. But yeah, I get your point. I understand what you're saying. That brings me to Theodorou. I mean, they got rid of him. He looked quite the best barnet in MMA.
He did lose a few as well, didn't he? That was his problem. That's the problem when you're not an entertaining fighter. So if you're an entertaining fighter, like we mentioned earlier with Dan Hardy, you might have, say, 3, 4, maybe even 5 losses in a row as your sort of leeway before you start getting discussed about being chopped. But if you're a boring fighter, you could be out in your ear for 1 or 2. So That's the price you pay for having that safety first.
He's got to make sure Delite's got to make sure that he keeps winning. Otherwise, any excuse, and I reckon they'll get rid. Yeah.
Yeah.
So. Well, at this point on the card, after that, something exciting did happen. There was a clip of an interview with Israel Adesanya and Marvin Vettori, and I want to discuss both of their clothes.
Yeah.
Both of them.
I mean, go on. Demi Lovato and now bloody fashion. I mean, it's supposed to be fighting podcast.
Well, I'm going to say that Adesanya, I mean, it looked terrible, his clothes, but I'm going to say maybe it was a dressing gown or a robe. And if it was, and it wasn't a t-shirt or a top, then I'll go, okay, yeah, it's a dressing gown or a robe. But I couldn't be certain of it.
To me, it looked like a suit jacket without a shirt underneath.
Right. See, so to me, something was going on. But if he just stood up and went, wearing a dressing gown in the hotel room, I'd go, fair enough. It's still a crap dressing gown, but fine. But Vettori, you could see all of his top. You could see down to his thighs, and it looked like he was wearing shorts. So there was no, I could see everything. There's nothing left to my imagination. I could see everything. And I was just confused. I don't understand. What was going on there.
Adesanya was wearing clothes that if an ordinary Joe wore, it'd look like an absolute mug. But because he's obviously got a good bod, he's a world champion, he's fights and all that, I actually thought he looks all right. He can pull it off. Like I say, he can pull it off because of who he is and all that sort of stuff. And he's UFC world champion. If I decide to pop into my local town centre dressed like that, I'd expect a few people to shoot me a few glances and think I look like a bit of a plank.
Well, do you think, right? Okay, hold on then. Do you think then, is there anyone you can think of on the planet, athlete, sports star, muscle business, anyone?
No one could have worn Vittori's clothes.
No, it's not Vittori I'm going to mention here.
Okay.
Woods' poncho. That big poncho thing that he wore once.
Yeah, again, a poncho anywhere outside of...
Well, I don't think it was a poncho. That's the way me and you describe it. It was just an oversized jumper.
It was a rug with a hole cut in the middle.
Well, there you go, even better. Yeah, that's actually really what it looked like. Do you think anybody would look good in that? Anybody?
Well, no, because I've seen somebody handsome and cool looking wear it, and they look like an absolute pillar canal in it. Okay. So,
and does that stand for Vettori? You don't think anyone could have pulled it off?
There's not a man alive that could have wore those clothes.
What were they? Pajamas? Are they meant for outdoors? What are they? I mean, he wore them on telly. I'm
going to say they're lounge clothes, like onesies and all that. So that kind of thing. It's designed for.
Okay, do we know what they are? Is it an Ngannou traditional African clothes? Is it traditional Italian clothes? What were they? Do we know?
Not that I know of. I mean, just look like shorts and a t-shirt, but just the worst shorts and t-shirt I've ever seen in my life.
I mean, it was,
and they came as a combo. It wasn't like he was wearing a naff pair of shorts and a naff t-shirt.
It made it worse.
Yeah, it was
black shorts on.
That's what it's called, an ensemble. Somebody went, I'm designing shorts for this t-shirt, and that's what came out. And they both looked naff. Not as in both of them. I thought Adesanya looked all right. I thought he looked quite cool. Vettori looked shocking. I mean, I've never seen clothes like it, and I don't want to see clothes like it again.
Well, that's a good point, though. Not anywhere in any shop or on the internet or anything have I ever seen anything like those. So I don't know what they are. I mean, I noticed it had a lion and flowers is the best I can. So I don't know. Where'd you buy that stuff? Who's wearing it? I mean, he could go, well, that's the whole point, guys. I'm the only one wearing it. Individual.
Yeah, that's my point as well.
Yeah. I mean,
because if you see someone with a nice pair of trainers, right, you go, oh, I want a pair of them, and you go out and buy them. His clothes were only a one-off because no one else would buy them. They were, and I'll tell you what, I bet you they weren't cheap and all.
I mean, I'd be very surprised if they were cheap. Do you think that even he likes them? And we were going to say because he went on telly with them, or is it a joke? I mean, they're the worst clothes. Are they the worst clothes you've ever seen? Apart from Woods' poncho jumper rug thing, because that's one of the worst things I've seen. I mean, are they the worst clothes you've seen?
Could well be, yeah.
Yeah, that aren't offensive, like, you know, say
I can think of off the top of my head. Let's put it like that.
Yeah. I can't think of anything else that's that bad. I mean, just let's do a bit of research and find out what's going on, because it could be some sort of Italian national. I don't know what's going on with it. Anyway, that was actually quite entertaining after that stinker of a fight. I think I quite liked the interview as well, as in, I don't know, shouting at each other and all that. You know, it was all right, them having a dig at each other. I watched it. Let's put it this way. I could have just fast forward through it. And I went, no, watch this. It's all right.
There was more violence in that interview than there was in the Lidse fight. So
well, let's stop calling that a fight. Yeah. So on to the next fight then. Walter Big Ticket Harris versus Marcin Tybura. Tybura, I don't like that nickname, unless it's just because I don't know what Tybura means. But why would you have a nickname that's the same as your surname? It's two same. And speaking of two same, it's just the same story for Harris and all. It's just a Walter Harris fight. That's it.
Yeah. Rock someone and then get done. Because you're either out of breath, or you've overcommitted. I quite like Tybura. I think he's quite good. I've always thought he was quite good. One of the best. A bit more, sort of a bit more fleet-footed. You know, he looks like he can actually move around a bit, and you know, this, that, and the other. I think he's decent. I've done for a while.
He's a good heavyweight.
Yeah, I do think he's a good heavyweight. Yeah, and so Walt Harris, I think he's clearly all right because he rocks some good fighters, right? He's rocked Tybura and he rocked over him. These are good fighters that he's rocked or had in trouble, but he just doesn't seem to be able to put the finishing touches together. It's one of those guys that maybe, who knows, he could go on a little bit of a run where he does just manage to finish off.
The same game plan for both sides, right? Walt Harris' game plan is to go out there, do absolute powers straight away, hoping and thinking he's going to get a knockout. Because I heard some stat like in all these amateur fights, he had like 20 amateur fights and he'd done all of them in the first round. So he obviously knows this works and it can get him somewhere. But that's his game plan, and then to run out of breath, or hopefully do the bloke before he runs out of breath. And on the other side, the opponent's game plan is to weather the storm and then just, you know, lay on him and punch him. That's it. And that's bad. That not the opponent, but Walt Harris needs to have a little think about that and go, well, I might need to try and change this, because everyone knows that's the method. And as long as they get through it, because he might not have got through it, he definitely got blazed. Tybura absolutely got blazed.
I don't think he was ever in a position where I was like, oh my God, he's really, you know, sort of basically out of it. I never thought he was really out of it. I did think there was a couple of times where it was like one
shot put him down.
Yeah, but I think, you know, I always felt like he's got his senses about him. But there was never a point where I thought a clean punch at any time could have done him. But I don't think he was ever at a point where I was like, that's it, it's over, he's finished, he's done. You know, he didn't come back from that sort of.
They seemed all right, yeah.
That level of adversity. But yeah, I mean, he was definitely, you know, uncomfortable. Let's put it like that. But I think he's a better fighter than Harris. You know, more well-rounded, better.
Well, I guess that's why it's good that the outcome was what it was. The better fighter won. It weren't like he just got done by a big barrage of strikes. To me, that Walt Harris should be fighting the American football bloke, the baddie, the one that, you know, the criminal gizzard that people don't know. Yeah, just have a fight with him because they're the same. No breath and round one speeds, and see what happens there, and then get rid of the loser.
See, that's the thing. I wouldn't get rid of Walt Harris. I mean, he's on a bad run. He's lost his last three. I wouldn't get rid of him because I do think he has potential to.
Well, what do you want him? What do you want him to do?
That's what we were saying a minute ago. He is in exciting fights. You know, he's over and around. He's in exciting fights, and he also, like I say, he has the potential, I think, to basically be pretty much anyone if he lands. He rocks a lot of good fighters. He's just not.
Yeah, but that seems. That's not enough, though, is it? Just being.
It's not enough, but maybe rather than, you know, giving him the Overeems and the, you know, the Volkovs and Tyburas, they're all like real good, you know, sort of top of the food chain. Just give him a couple of.
Well, who? Tybura, I thought was a good matchup for him.
It was all right, but you know, I'm talking like just take him down a level, give him a few guys just outside the top 15.
I know the bloke with the beads on, the shoey bloke.
Yeah, tied to Ibasa. Yeah, that wouldn't be bad.
Someone like that. Well, all right. Okay. Well, let's keep hold of him then.
I would. Look, the heavyweight is very thin on the ground, and he is definitely better than almost all the heavyweights outside of probably the top 10, in my opinion. Because, what about even, like Chris Dawkins? He's come in there and won 2 or 3 fights, and he's on the balance. Why not give him someone like that?
Right.
Like you can, or Tom Aspinall, these kinds of people. What I'm saying is, at the moment, while he's struggling to secure those wins against top 10 guys, maybe make him a top 10 gatekeeper. And you've got a couple of guys up and coming there. Say, look, if you can do Walt Harris, then you're a top 10 bloke. If you can't, then
Why is doing Walt Harris make you a top 10 bloke?
Because he's ranked about between 8th and 10th.
Yeah, okay, but are you seeing him as a qual fighter then, are you?
No, I'm just saying he could be a bit of a gatekeeper for the top 10. So you've got a couple of guys that are coming up, and you can say, well, look, you're
crap job, isn't it?
It is, but if he beats a couple of these top 10 sort of pretenders,
then maybe then you give him, de-gate him, yeah.
But he needs to solidify his position in the division, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I wouldn't get rid of him.
Yeah, listen, there's listen. One thing I 100% agree with you that there's way worse. He ain't.
Yeah,
he is not terrible. He doesn't have great breath because of the way he fights, but he's definitely fast. And his punches are good. I do think what he did in that fight was good. I just thought to myself, well, if this doesn't work, then it's going to be the same story, and it was the same story. So. Okay. A question for you. So you're his coach, legitimate one now. You're his head coach. He's got another fight booked. Doesn't matter who it's against because all the heavyweights are pretty much the same, right? He's got another fight booked. I'm him, Walt Harris, right? I'm going to come to you. I'm Walt Harris. You're right there. I need to ask you about the next fight that's coming up. I'm getting a bit sick and tired of doing the punches and it not working. First off, why ain't it working? I'm throwing it with all my might and they're not going down from it. And then I can't breathe. And yet I've been pulling cars and trucks along and throwing balls at the wall all day with my strength and conditioning. And I still can't breathe after throwing a few punches. They're not going down. I don't want to lose my next fight. What do, coach?
Don't take another fight.
No, but this is all I know. I like fighting. This is what I want to do.
No, you don't know it.
I'm going to give you a cut of the purse and all that. Yeah, but you're supposed to teach me.
Your purse ain't worth it no more. You've lost so many fights. You're on rubbish money. I can't be bothered with you anymore.
Crap. What about improving my skills?
They did say in the broadcast, didn't they, that he's been doing different cardio sort of training. Like he's been. Yeah, well, yeah, but they were saying like he's been, what is it, Sickening Saturday or whatever,
Right, I've got another question then.
And stuff like that.
I got another question for you. Right, you're still the coach. That hasn't changed, right? But my approach is going to be different. Now I want to ask you. I mean, to me, it seems pretty obvious. But I'm going to ask you. You can see what's happening here. I'm a pretty big fella. And he ain't that he's not like a massively overweight bloke. You can tell he's definitely a heavyweight. It looks like it to me, right? He can pull trucks along and all that. We've seen that. Yeah, we've seen all that. But what happens is when he's in a fight, he's fighting. And what he does in a fight is throw punches and kicks, right? He seems pretty flexible. He's done a couple of head kicks and all that. So my question to you is, what shall I do? What training should we do this time around, coach? So that when I can throw, say, 50 punches instead of 10. What are we doing? Because I tell you what, don't seem like pulling trucks is doing it. Sickening Saturday, don't seem like it's doing it. What do I do so that I can have the right cardio?
Well, I mean, look, I don't know about this pulling trucks. I mean, you're saying you've seen him do it and all that sort of stuff, then, I haven't. But if that's what he does, honestly, I think that's just a waste of time.
Okay, well, Sickening Saturday, I saw a shot of it, and he was doing the classic things like a sledgehammer on a tire and stuff like that, pulling them along and all that kind of stuff, right? So what are we saying? Does it work? Is it the wrong sort of conditioning for fighting? Because the reason he backed off and calmed down. The reason Tybura did what he did, and the reason Overeem did what he did, is because the punching capacity had been worn thin, and he's still in the first round. So what are we doing this time round? Sickening Saturday don't look like it cuts it. What do I do? What training should I be doing to make sure that I can punch for long periods of time? To me, it's obvious. Punch.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, if that's why I said that stuff like pulling trucks. I've never seen Walt Harris fight and said the issue here is he's too weak.
Yes, not a strength
in order to fix this issue.
So he's going to listen to this because we know he listens to it and he'll go, "I've never pulled a truck, not once."
Yeah, but that kind of stuff. If he's doing any sort of too much weight, space activity, and all that sort of stuff, I just don't ever feel that's that beneficial.
Yeah.
Personally, in a when you're a fighter.
Well, we discussed the other day. You sent me a little clip of Mayweather doing pads, right? One style of pads, and it seemed like a conditioning drill. So his shoulders are never ever going to get tired because look, he can do this all day long at this pace or whatever. So to me, that looked like the right sort of training if you're going to be throwing punches and using your shoulders and your arms. I don't know. I think he needs to change something.
Well, maybe so. I mean, look, we're not in his training camp. Maybe he does do loads of punching drills, loads of cardio drills to work on his.
Does he do punching beyond his punch threshold? Because you've seen his punch threshold there. He weren't taking stuff back from Tybura. That wasn't what lost him his energy. He wasn't taking nothing back at that period. He just, how many punches do you think he threw? 20? Let's put it this way. It weren't 5 minutes of punching. And why would it ever be 5 minutes of punching, right? You're never going to just punch for the full 5 minutes. But the point is, I don't even punch for a minute. So what's, I'm just saying as a looking in on it, I go, well, we need to make sure.
Maybe these coaches are doing everything right, but he just doesn't have the ability to do it. There's lots of people who just suck at certain things.
Correct. Maybe he'd be a better strongman. Maybe he'd be a better strongman pulling trucks.
Yeah, so, well, apparently he's amazing at pulling trucks. I mean, I didn't know this about him.
It's true though. It's true though. If he's not, there's different sorts of athletes, if you like, isn't there? Mo Farah. He can look at his physique, or he can run miles forever. It's just different, isn't it? So maybe I don't know. It's a bit of a theme with heavyweights, though. So I don't want to be too hard.
It would just be frustrating for him because I think he's, if you like, been one or two punches away from possibly being top 5, and instead he's one or two punches away from being cut. So I mean,
of course,
that's what would be frustrating for me. If he was just going in there and getting banged out in the first second every time, I'd go, well, look, you're just crap at it.
Well, look,
no, he's not. He's obviously got enough there to give people problems. Like I say, just can't get himself over finishing line. But
so does he need to be more patient then? And stop going for that finish?
I don't think he is too right. It's not like, Alan Patrick the Nugget. It's not like him. He don't come out throwing wild.
No, that's wild.
Back fist. Yeah, no, I'm just saying that he is kind of quite controlled, composed, and.
Okay, all right. Then there's another question. You like these Walt Harris questions?
This is just the Walt Harris podcast, or what?
How do you've watched the fight? How do you say to Walt Harris, this is what you did wrong, and this is how you could have won that fight? You were a punch away from winning that fight, but this is why you didn't, and this is how you could have. How could he have won that fight? Do the same. Let's call it 20 punches. Do it in blocks of 5. 5, 5, 5, and 5. Would that have won in the fight instead of doing 20 in 1?
I can't really remember the way he's lost all his fights, but has he basically been
just
grabbed?
Seen one.
But I can't remember. Has he just been grabbed? When he's had someone in trouble, just been grabbed and then tripped to the floor and then pounded.
No breath and then ground and pound, isn't it? Yeah.
But then to me, the first thing I would be putting together is finishing fights or throwing combinations from distance, so that when he does have someone in trouble, he's not within grabbable distance.
Yeah.
That would be the first thing, because I think you know, if he's too close, which I think he might be, he gets too close and then someone, you know, can grab him and then just sort of like stick a foot behind his ankle and just trip him up. So I'd be,
remind you how this one happened. I'll remind you how this particular one happened. He threw a kick towards the head, but he didn't quite make it to the head. Tybura caught it like this, hooked it like this, and then with his other leg, he, you know, because obviously he's now standing on one leg, he tripped that leg away, landed on top, and that was the end of it. So, you know, in that case, you could say, look, it was a bad time, you know, to throw a kick, or don't throw any kicks when you've got no breath. Kicks actually take more energy than punches. You know, why are you throwing kicks, which are going to immediately get next to
kicks
someone?
they compromise your balance.
Yeah.
You're on foot.
You're already tired.
People throw, say, head kicks or kicks of some description and end up falling over themselves, even when they land or they're blocked or whatever, and they still end up on their backside because they're off balance and stuff. So again, that would be know your limitations. And I mean, I see that quite often, that kind of thing. I personally wouldn't throw kicks in that scenario. It's like anything, right? It's like in football. Someone takes a shot from 30 yards and skies it into row Z, and everyone goes, "You knobhead! Why do you take a shot?"
Yeah.
But somebody takes a shot from 30 yards and it screams into the top corner. Everyone goes, "You're a magician! You're a genius! So, you know, I love you."
You've got to take risks, ain't you? You've got to give it a go.
It's the same with this, right? He throws the head kick, it lands flush, and he's got highlight reel knockout, 50K or 75K bonus, and everybody talking about him on Twitter. He throws the head kick, instead it gets caught, he gets tripped, and he gets pounded out, and he's a bit of a knobhead being spoken about for about 10 hours by us two, right? So the margins are very fine on this stuff, but I would just say that if you have someone in trouble, you can throw long range sort of shots that basically don't give them something to grab hold of. And if they are going to grab hold of you, they're going to need to walk towards you, in which case you can then bring up some uppercuts, bring over some hooks over the top of the guard, or just step back and then leave them off balance. But if you're going to throw a kick, compromise your balance, your foot's off the floor for quite a long time, you're at risk of it getting caught, all these things, the risk versus the payoff just isn't enough. So that you know, if he wants to get in touch, he knows where I am.
I think that what he should have done, because I'm guessing at that point he's got very little energy left and he needs a breather. And the round went nowhere near finishing. Maybe he does the run of the mill classics. Maybe he's the one who should be grabbing and clinching and getting a breather. I don't know, but he needed to obviously to get some blood and
maybe, or just take a step or two back.
Yeah, keep away for a bit.
If Tybura's just taken all that damage, he's not going to be in the mood to be chasing after you. If he's just been rocked. So you can just take 10, 20, 30 seconds, whatever you need, you know, to get your stuff back in order.
There you go. Listen, I don't know if anyone else has spent this much time talking about this fight and trying to.
I bet you even his coaches ain't. I bet you they're out there now doing truck pulls instead.
I should think so, yeah. And listen, maybe that's what he should be doing, but then don't do fights. That's from what I can see. But like you say, there's plenty of way worse heavyweights in there than him. He's actually all right, you know.
Yeah.
But we've given some lot of suggestions here of what he can do, and more for him if he takes no notice and doesn't even tune in. I mean, I'm sure he tunes in, but make sure he does. We'll tweet him the link anyway to this section, because this is basically a Walt Harris podcast anyway. Yeah. So maybe I'll edit it down and just say Walt Harris bit and just send him this bit. Nice one, Walt. At this point, after that fight and in between the next fight, some fella comes up who I've never heard of, promoting a film called American Fighter, which looked absolutely crap. And the trailer is supposed to make a film look good, and the trailer didn't make it look good. So as far as I'm concerned, this film is going to be absolutely crap. What did you think? Did you watch the trailer or the bit on the broadcast?
I do remember somebody popping up on my screen. I just thought, no, I can't bother with him.
Mate, you should have done it. You should have done it.
It's on 4.8 out of 10.
I mean, it looked bad qual. Bad qual. He said it was an ode to MMA, hence why it was being promoted on there. It doesn't matter that I've never heard of any of the actors, but I ain't. And it showed some clips of it, and the fights looked terrible. The film looked terrible. And if I was him, I'd have been crying about it, going, I've got to promote this and it's crap. There's no way he thinks it's good. He's the main actor. He said, I'm starring in it. So, yeah, well, you know what I mean? Crap. But anyway, I can't chat to you about it because you never saw it. But when you get a chance, watch the trailer and tell me if you think it's brilliant. Moving on to the main event. Yeah, for some people, this is why they tune in. This is why they're here. We don't. As you've seen it, we watched a lot, right? We watched a lot. I didn't tune in for this. I just tuned in because I like watching this stuff. That's it. Jairzinho Rozenstruik versus Augusto Sakai. Rozenstruik won this with a TKO in round 1. Let's have your chat. It's called Ultimate Fighting Chat. Let's have it.
I really ain't got much to say about this.
Okay. Just this is a reminder. And you might not know this now, but I'm going to process this and upload it. And it's going to be on a channel called the Ultimate Fighting Chat podcast. So
I didn't say I would
better
chat
find
about
something right now. I found stuff to chat about. Vittori's close. I found stuff to chat about. I've done chats. So let's have some.
All right. Well, I'll do chats. Sakai, I don't know why he's continuously being talked about as being a contender or whatever.
Me neither.
I guess that's just because the heavyweight division is so thin. Jairzinho Rozenstruik. I mean, he's just
Biggie boy.
Derek Lewis, Mark II, and as in he's one of those guys that seems like he's okay to have rounds go by where he's literally just plodding around doing nothing because he knows he's got a big whack and that can eventually get him out of trouble.
He's right, isn't he?
Well, yeah, and it did. I mean, I really don't think anything happened other than the knockout, and it went basically one full round. Didn't like the fight. Didn't think much of the finish. Didn't think much of it full stop. Like I said, I don't know why Sakai is sort of, spoke about like saying, if he wins this one, he's in the title fight discussion. It's like, why?
Yeah, I didn't understand it either.
I expected Rozenstruik to win. He did win. It's still, to me, it was a continuation of the last fight. The last fight was one of the worst performances I've ever seen against Cyril Gane. And this first round was exactly the same, except for at the end of the round, he clipped the guy and knocked him out. Yeah. Simple as that. So I'm not particularly looking forward to the next Rozenstruik fight if this is going to be the method going forward of just, I'm in 5-round fights now, so I've got to conserve breath. So I'm not going to throw anything, other than one combination every 2.5 minutes. I cannot be bothered with stuff like that. So I didn't like the fight. I didn't think it was a great performance. But that might sound silly because you only got a first-round knockout against the title,
I agree.
Potential targeter, but yeah, I didn't like it.
But what about the? No, I agree. Yeah, but what about the knockout then? It was kind of strange. The one thing I'll give him is that he kind of, got in must have been powerful, right? Because it done him. Didn't knock him out, spark him out cold. As you know, a couple of ground strikes were, even they didn't spark him out cold. It was just right to stop it because otherwise he would have just continued to do it. But one thing I'll give him is that Sakai was moving away from the strikes and they were still powerful enough to get in, or did he leap in and, is he running in and doing them?
So he was moving Sakai's moving to his right, so Rozenstruik's left, wasn't he? And he sort of stopped that movement by throwing a left hook, which kind of caught him rather than on the side of the head. It kind of caught him more on the front or around, clipped more to the opposite side. And that kind of stopped him from circling out. And then the right hand just sort of clipped him as well, grazed through. It was the left hook which stopped Sakai being able to circle off or move away from the following right hand. So, it's fine. Bisping can go, all right, I called this, whatever. But I'm pretty sure he said sort of like something like right hand, left hook, or right hand to the body, then a left hook. Something like that. So he didn't call it exactly. But
according to him, he did. Yeah, so it's brilliant.
Yeah, but fair play. Yeah, I mean, he was good. This show, this thing, and there was no real magic to it or no amazing signs. You just
I've got a question about it. So if you're the Sakai bloke,
yeah,
and to me, it looked like what he was doing wasn't wrong. He was, circling away, trying to get away from the bloke. What could he have done to have avoided that outcome?
Well, I mean, as it's been said on the broadcast, right, he was saying, he's circling a lot to his right, so Rozenstruik's left or whatever. So, the right hand, left hook or whatever. But to me, he said he learned from the Henderson debacle, but he obviously didn't, because if Sakai was moving the opposite way, he'd have been moving into Rozenstruik's power hand, his backhand, right? I think Rozenstruik's orthodox. I can't remember. I've really spent too long reanalyzing this because I hated this fight. But yeah, he'd have been moving into his power hand, into his right hand. And if he got clocked with that, he'd have been he was circling in the wrong direction. He should have been circling away from the power.
Yeah.
This is why I say people get too hung up on this circling away or into power. What you need is the ability to be able to move in both directions, make things unpredictable. And all he done wrong was when he circled off from that side, was he should either have ducked under the shot as he circled off, or should have just got his shield up and blocked it there. But, if you're in a fight, you're going to get caught punches. And if you get caught punches by a guy who's 18, 19 stone and knows how to throw big, heavy punches, well, there's a good chance you're going to get banged out. And that's all that happened. There's no, it's not one where I'd look at and go, he needs to rip up, the blueprint and go back to the drawing board. It's just, it's what happens when you have a fight.
Very, like you say, take it for what it is, isn't it? And that's it. Yeah. All right. Well, fair enough. Before we go, would you mind doing me a favour and running through the next card that's coming up? Because I think it might be good. Look, we'll leave it short and sweet. We don't want to go, well, it's not even short. I don't want to discuss it in any detail, because if you really wanted to, we'll do a preview show for the card. But just before we go, what's the next card coming? What have we got to look forward to?
Story this weekend. I'll just run through them. Carlos Felipe versus Jake Collier.
What, Felipe's that Brazilian bloke that I like, and he big heavyweight?
That's right, that's right.
Brilliant. Oh, no. The Hollier's the bloke who's massive and shouldn't be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the one who used to fight heavyweight, but now fights at heavyweight. So I imagine a comfortable victory for Felipe. I know we said we won't do predictions, but we obviously will. Quick ones. Faris Siam versus Luigi Vendramini. Don't know either of them.
I'd have to do a bit of research,
Yeah, Chase Hooper versus Stephen Peterson.
Jordan Peterson's having a fight.
No, he's busy eating meat and
he'll just give him some beef broth. Yeah.
But
don't recognise the Peterson bloke. I know the Chase Hooper.
He's had a few fights in the UFC, but I can't remember him off the top of my head. But what I will say is that I think Chase Hooper is not ready. So
right, we'll have to do a bit of research on Peterson.
Frank Camacho versus Matt Favola. I think Camacho's.
I think we like Camachos.
Yeah, I think he's all right. Favola, I think he's one of those bit of a Darren Elkins guy. I mean, I do remember him, but I think off the top of my head, I'll go for Camacho.
Something about Steamroller or something.
That's it. I think he's, he's got wicked cardio and that sort of stuff. I think he's all right, but I'll probably go lean to Camacho there. Kianzad versus Alexis Davis. I'm going to go with Alexis Davis there.
Why did you bother? Yeah.
Ivolev versus Hakeem Dawodu.
I
think both.
I think we like the Hakeem Dawodu bloke. No.
I think he's good, isn't he? Really good.
I believe so. Look, I'd have to do a bit more research, but I recognise the name and think it's something that we've. I'm sure we like him. Go on.
Next? Ivolev's undefeated, so.
Well, we like
Lauren Murphy versus Joanne Calderwood. I imagine that if Joanne Calderwood wins this one, she'll get a title shot. That always seems to be the chat that goes with every Calderwood fight. If she wins this, she gets a title shot.
She had a title shot once and didn't show up for whatever reason, right?
No, she done a good thing, didn't she? So she
took another fight or something.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, she took a fight in between and ended up losing it. So which I rate that.
So do I. Hey, look, you're supposed to be able to beat everyone, right? Otherwise, you won't be the champ.
Exactly.
That's it. Can't beat her, then you shouldn't be beating the other one. Yeah.
Eric Anders versus Darren Stewart. So that is the rematch of the fight that got stopped early because of Eric Anders' illegal strike.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I remember that. Yeah, he looked good in that fight. He had muscle business and abs and everything. Yeah.
I think he was so out of breath by the end. I think he threw that knee half knowing that it was.
Ooh. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was absolutely shattered. I'm not saying he threw it to get out of the fight, but maybe he
Ooh.
was so out of breath, he had bad judgment or wasn't
All right.
thinking straight or whatever. But I think he was on his look. He was obviously in the ascendancy, right? Stewart was getting battered from pillar to post. I'm just saying that I think he'd done a Walt Harris. I think he'd been pulling too many punches on.
Speaking of Walt Harris,
Yeah. What would you do? Drew Dober versus Brad Riddell. That's quite a good fight. I'm going to go with Dober in that one.
who's it?
Obviously, you're not going to go for anybody. All right, right. We'll move on. Paul Craig versus Jamal Hill. So he's Paul Craig, the Scottish guy with the little bald patch, rearing its.
Oh, yeah. He's the Scottish triangle bloke.
Yeah. We like him. Yeah, like the bloke. But I think he'll lose to Jamal Hill personally. Obviously, again, you don't really have an opinion on that, right? So Damian Maia versus Bilal Muhammad. I'm going for Muhammad, as you know.
Yep.
Yeah, right. You're obviously not going for anyone again. Leon Edwards versus Nate Diaz. To me, that's easy. Edwards, easy. I know you're going to say
Nate Diaz. I love to hear that. Diaz. He'll love to hear that.
Honestly, that is a stupid thing I've said because there is no such thing as an easy Nate Diaz fight. There just ain't. There ain't. Is there? I mean, has anyone ever beaten him like?
He's absolute grief. And it's not the main event, and it's a fight, and it's not a title fight, and it's a 5-rounder. That plays into the hands of the Nate Diaz, and it does.
Yeah, I mean that was stupid to say. It's easy. Like say, it's just no such thing as an easy.
I understand why you said it though, because you just think that
stylistically,
exactly.
It's easy. That's what I meant.
He should be able to deal with him.
Yeah, stylistically, he's holding all the trump cards. But if there's one person that makes, if you like, a mockery of those trump cards because of his cardio, his grit, his chin, all
pressure,
that, it's Nate Diaz.
The forward pressure, mate. Yeah, telling you.
It's Nate Diaz. So interesting one, but
it is. Yeah.
Edwards. Figueiredo versus Moreno.
Who's Moreno?
The rematch.
Oh yeah, brilliant. Yeah, because they got a draw last time.
Yeah, amazing fight last time.
Yeah, excellent.
I'm going with Figueiredo, I think. Yeah, on that one.
Yeah, I really like that Moreno bloke as well. I think he's really good as well. Like the bloke and all. They're both brilliant.
Both really good. Great fight last time. And Adesanya versus Vettori, and that is just going to be, to me, I like Vettori. We've agreed we really like Italians, but to me, this is Adesanya versus Paulo Costa Mark II.
Look, it's just so easy to chat about this one. It's obvious that Adesanya can easily beat him up, no problem. Big Ed coming in, zero defense after he strikes. He just throws strikes and don't defend after him, so he's open to getting countered, even if he does throw any punches. If he can get him down and lay on him, he'll win, and that's it.
Yep, they've both got two very clear routes to victory.
Yep.
But yeah, I think it's going to end more. I'm more inclined to think it's going to end a la Costa rather than a la Blachowicz, personally.
Yeah, like it. All right. Okay. Well, that was a good way to finish it. The a la method. Liked it. It's true. Yeah. But we shall see. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Oh, thank you.
No problem. And thank you to Walt Harris for helping mold the podcast into what it became.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's all about. You gave us talking points and we made the most of that. And I'll see you soon for the next one or whatever.
Okay. I've got an Amazon delivery downstairs that's been delivered that he obviously didn't.
Well, that's it then. That's the end of it. Right. Okay. Well, look, I'm sorry, everybody. I know you want to hear more from us, but you'll have to wait till next time because Amazon have delivered for him. So see you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye, mate.